What's good, y'all? It's your boy Abdul Rashid, and this is Elevated Vibes Radio. Now I'm alongside my partners, the boss man Mike B and the gatekeeper.
Oh yeah.
What up? What up?
Now today, y'all, it's gonna be pretty much a free fall. So we're gonna talk about a little bit of everything from the Derek Chauvin trial and verdict, thankfully, to the young lady who just got shot by police, Miss Bryant, to everybody else down the line, from them to Adam Toledo to the Georgia voting law. So we got a whole stream of things to talk about today, y'all. So check it out. Make sure you hit us up on Facebook Live under Elevated Vibes Radio. The phone line is kind of tied, but hit us up through live. All right. We're gonna try to answer every and any question you may have, or just come with your feelings, y'all. All right. Now, gentlemen. Let's start this off.
Yes, sir.
We already gonna go in from the hottest thing right now. The verdict. Chauvin trial. Tell me your thoughts, gatekeeper.
Well, my thoughts are I'm glad that they got a guilty verdict. I'm glad that they got a guilty verdict on all three counts. I think that's a first step going forward. At the end of the day, the whole world seen a sad situation happen, and at least in some forms, there's some type of relief and some sort of justice for the family and those affected by that situation.
Boss man, let me hear you.
Give me a minute. I know, and I don't want people to take this wrong, I know there's supposed to be some kind of happiness, some kind of relief about what was accomplished. And a part of me is joyous at what happened. But a part of me is angry because the reason I'm feeling the joy is because in America in 2021, where we witnessed the torture, and that's not a word that people have been using, that was torture. The torture and execution, the killing, the murder of George Floyd, that there was an expectation on our part, and when I say our part, I mean people of color, that he may have not been found guilty. So why should I take joy in the circumstances where, when we can witness the torture, execution, and killing of a black man, why should I take joy in that, in something that would have been presupposed in any other situation? I give you an example. If I have $1 and I throw it up in the air, I think if we took a survey of everybody in this room, 3 out of 3 of us would vote for it. It would fall on the floor.
Yes.
We should expect that to happen based on, I don't know, laws of gravity. Right. Now, if the dollar stay in the air, now I should be shocked.
Definitely.
Right?
Matter of fact, you probably need to be a little scared if it stayed in there.
I should be shocked.
Right.
So I am happy at the outcome. I am not happy with the fact that I should find joy or feel relief in this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't be at that point. I should expect a certain thing. Alexa has it. It's called the program. If this, then this. If I come home at 5:00, Alexa turns on my lights.
Fair enough.
If you and I witness a murder, torture, we should expect it, that justice or that murderer should go to jail. We should expect that.
Right.
Because if it was turned, if it was twisted, if you had killed me or I had killed you, and I did it in a manner that was not quick, that resulted in extenuating pain and circumstances, and was not justified, you and I wouldn't have even had the benefit of going to trial. If you and I or any one of us were caught on TV doing it to one another, we wouldn't even had the benefit of going to trial. Mm-hmm. We would have been locked up. You know? So yes, I'm happy about the outcome. It should not have been. I'm happy because this one guy out of the 7,000 officers who have engaged in this kind of conduct got persecuted and prosecuted. So I'm happy about that. But at the same time, I'm not happy. And I'm sorry, that's a long, drawn out explanation, but you know, it's been an emotional week because of this. And as you know, as you guys know, as we're coming on the air, we are aware of, and we'll get into talking about 3 other Black shooting victims.
Exactly. Now, with the happiness, as you said, you know, it just shows still that we have work to do. It doesn't stop here, because we all know they will, how can I say, the system will give you a morsel and make you think it's a meal.
Yeah. Well, see, that's some of the problem, is that this is a step towards doing something, but this is yet 2021.
Right.
And these problems that we have been having have been happening for hundreds of years.
Yes.
And even lately, 20, 30, 40 years. So for something to just be happening, or to just get a step towards in 2021 is a problem in itself. And we have to realize sometimes that when we have situations that affect us in the community, in the world, and we blame certain situations on, let's just say, the government or the system, right? We have to understand that I've never seen the government and I've never seen the system. The system and the government are ran by people, right? So we have to start putting blame on or accountability on people who are making these decisions, or people who are actually not making the right decisions. Because when I say the system is at fault, then who do we hold accountable?
Let's just say the people in power.
Well, now when we say the people in power, now we talking. Now we can hold somebody accountable. So now we need to know what people in power do we need to hold accountable that are not giving us the do right so things can be better. Mm-hmm. So I think that we just have to be careful on who we're blaming. And so therefore we can allocate the right due diligence to those people. Mm-hmm. Because when we mask it by saying system and government, there's nobody to be held accountable, because I've never seen the system or the government. But I have seen politicians in seats that are in power. And I do know there are lawmakers who can change laws and make laws. And I know there are people who have a seat at the table who will be able to bring all these things together and decipher between what's right and wrong, so there can be a more clear viewpoint of how things should be conducted in our society. But it seems that those gatekeepers, if I will say, who should be there to allow what is right and what is wrong and to speak up, are very far and few. Mm-hmm. And there are many people in that table that have power, but it seems like a lot of people don't want to step up and be the oddball, and give power to a voice that is not being heard.
And go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, to your point, gatekeeper, if I may for a moment, just pose a couple of questions to you all. A couple of weeks ago, we found out that Johnson & Johnson was pulled from the shelves because it caused, how many women? 6 women?
Yes.
Rare blood clots, right?
After they made a push for the Black community to get shots.
Fair enough. And what was it, 2018, 2017, Boeing debuted a new airline, right? A new 737, correct? Or 7, whatever the number is, right?
It was 737.
737.
737 MAX, if I'm correct.
What happened after 2 of those planes crashed? What did we do?
They shut it down.
All right. I don't know if y'all remember, I mean, we're all around the same age, but do y'all remember late college, maybe early adulthood, something happened at Abu Ghraib? Y'all remember that? When we saw that the Iraqi prisoners were being tortured, those photos came out?
Yes.
What did we do after those photos came out?
I believe they changed the policy, didn't they?
Changed the policy and shut down Abu Ghraib, right? And prosecuted the soldiers. Nobody in command got prosecuted, right?
We got about Guantanamo Bay as well.
All right. And I know to this day where we were, where were you on 9/1/2001? How many planes crashed into the building? 2, right? What did America do at that point? From the minute those 2 planes crashed into the building.
Change policy, change the system, change everything.
Even more than that, in 2 hours, every single flying aircraft above the United States was grounded. All except for one, Air Force One. So in 2 hours, now we're talking about thousands and thousands of planes above the United States, and within 2 hours, and more so to the point, there was one plane they couldn't get in touch with, and it was later found out Dick Cheney had authorized, hey, he don't respond, to take him out, right? So I asked this question, I pose it to you, gentlemen. If it takes 6 women to stop Johnson & Johnson vaccine, if it took the torture of Iraqi prisoners and we changed policy, and 2 planes crashed, why in 2021 are we still doing police in the same way when thousands of black and brown bodies have died in orgies at the hands of police violence? Why haven't we changed that? We do it for everything else when white lives are on the line. I'm sorry for getting upset about that. But when you think about it, if it took 6 women who had a rare condition so rare they say you're more likely to get struck by lightning with a vaccine that can save lives. They didn't say, oh, the benefits outweigh the pain. It took 6 women to develop a rare blood clot for them to pull Johnson & Johnson off the shelves, a vaccine that can treat COVID. It took 6. How many black and brown bodies have died? And I'm just going to put it as a benchmark for us, as our generation, since Rodney King. How many black and brown bodies have died at the hands of police violence? And yet, that was what, 1992? We burnt down a city. We've burnt down a city. And yet, nothing has changed.
Because we don't keep our foot on the gas. I can answer that question for you real quick and simple. For a long time, we did not keep our foot on the gas. And I'm not talking about just you, me, and the gatekeeper here. No. As a group, we did not keep our foot on the gas. In the 60s and so forth, they kept their foot on the gas and they made some changes. We have to agree with that. It might not be the change we all deserved. Okay, but they did make some changes. They kept their foot on the gas.
But Rich,
somehow,
we did make changes.
Yeah,
they told us to wear video cameras. And we said, black people were like, okay, but nothing changed. They told us it was going to change when we put on camera.
You know what?
They told us it was going to change when we had community.
I got the answer. No, I got the answer. You know why it still happened? It's because there are not enough people who are actually affected by what you're talking about. And because those people are not affected, they, even though they may look like you, even though they may have the same experience as you, they did not have that same situation. Therefore, they have a different understanding and outlook on what's happening. So when they see the black and brown community being terrorized and killed, they come up with some excuse how they're apart from that and how that's not part of their life anymore. So therefore, when it comes down time to vote and to march or to stand up or to speak up, they're quiet. And even though they may look like you, they don't have the same experiences as you. So therefore, they're not going to have the same understanding as you. And then what happens is they speak against you. So they speak against those who are oppressed because they have not had that feeling or they have not been in that situation.
And they allow that to set the context, that their lack of experience. Oh, then it must have been something you did.
And then once again, they're following teachings that they have been taught. So somebody taught them to come up with those type of excuses. Somebody taught them to separate themselves. Somebody taught them that if you're not in this situation, that you don't have to worry about those other people, even if they may look like you, if they're in your family, or even if you know them, you make sure you separate yourself, because we're taught individuality nowadays, and we're not taught, let's just say, to stick together as a tribe.
And that's the main thing. We need to be standing together, no matter on what we may be thinking. Oh, you know how sometimes as a people we talk about, oh, they from that side of the town, or they from the South, or he thinks like this, she thinks like that. We need to stand together. We all know certain things are wrong. We all know that. And like you said, gatekeeper, you know, a lot of times we say, oh, well, that don't pertain to me, even though it's wrong. Why? Why not? Okay, it's wrong. And you know what? Somebody that you know, hey, let's give a helping hand. Let's help that next man, no matter what the differences are. Because, yeah, there are going to be differences. You didn't grow up in the same house.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I don't want to let us off the hook. I don't want to, because to your point, gatekeeper, they've told us, though, that things were going to change. They remember community policing.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Community, the whole problem was the policing. They weren't in our community, so we're gonna come up with this community police.
Things have changed, because when certain people move out of that area, they're no longer being policed by that police like that anymore, so they forget about it.
Right.
But if you're left in that situation, then you're still talking about it, right? So let's just say me and you live in a bad neighborhood, right?
Yes.
So you leave the bad neighborhood, right?
Yep.
You're no longer getting stalked by the police. You're not getting pulled over every day. The police aren't in front of your house and not on your block. You don't see them every day, right?
Gotcha.
So now 5 years, you've living in some great suburb, some great neighborhood, some great city, right?
Yep.
Me, I'm still in the area where we both grew up from. The police are still harassing the neighborhood, harassing the people in the neighborhood, in front of people's houses. So maybe, depending on the type of person you are, you may have forgot where you came from.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And because I'm still there, I'm just expressing what is happening. And expressing what is happening has now become wrong for some reason. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, if I'm expressing that this is what I'm seeing, why is it looked at wrong? But it's only looked at wrong because, and not in this situation, but because those on the outside are not experiencing that same feeling. Maybe on the other side, they're fine with it if they wake up every day at 8 in the morning and see the police outside their door. But maybe in the neighborhood I live in, when I wake up and see the police outside my door at 8 o'clock in the morning, it makes me feel like
Control and patrol.
Like they're watching my house for a reason.
Control and patrol. Yeah.
And it feels different. So I think that the understanding, the experience has a big part in play. And a lot of times, no matter what side they're on, a lot of times people who are speaking don't have the experience, they don't have the understanding, or they're trying to hide somebody's experience. Therefore, the other people don't understand.
Right. Now, see, like you said, with the people that don't have the experience and so forth, if you don't have the experience, be man or woman enough to step to the side.
Oh no, they're gonna give their opinion.
Because we blame the victim. So
I know that.
Same to what you're saying. If you had just complied, well, maybe you're doing something to make the police stop you. You know, what are you doing? Like,
and we do that to ourselves. We do that to our own people. I'll give you a story.
Go ahead.
I'll just say I know somebody that was traveling, let's just say from Mississippi to Chicago. They happened to get pulled over, right? And the person who was driving made a phone call, as we do, just to let a person know we got pulled over. The first thing that the person on the phone said was, "What did you do to create attention to yourself?"
Yeah, we do take down each other.
We take down each other. We
take down each other. And the fight is not with one another. Because if anything, we are not, well, we should be oppressing.
We don't understand sometimes.
Yeah.
But
we get into our own thing, and unfortunately, we should go and see the bigger picture.
Right.
But I hear that. But I think there's been enough of us. For instance.
Go ahead.
We all just recently had an experience 30 minutes ago.
Right.
And 30 minutes ago, all three of us were traveling in the vehicle, and we spotted a police car. And all three of us
like some instinct
At the same time.
at the same time had a reaction.
Yes.
You know, like, oh, let's sit up straight. You know, I'm tired of passing these stories on. Your experience, my experience, like folklore.
Mhm.
We pass these stories on to our children, victimizing our children. Like folklore. The same thing that your daddy and my daddy's, what did they say? When you get pulled over.
Mhm. Mhm.
Y'all instantly know.
Yeah.
Because this story gets
Because
passed
it
down
becomes
like,
ingrained in you, like it's ingrained in that so-called officer of the law. I'm gonna be nice. Anyhow, it's ingrained in them to get ready to mess with us.
but I'm tired of that.
Well, how about this? You know what?
This
When you have two different labels, right?
Right.
You drink out of this water faucet. You drink out of this water faucet.
Right.
You better not drink out of this water faucet, right? It's a lot easier to know what line you stay in.
Right.
So, but when you take that water faucet away, right? And you say anybody can drink out of here, now it might get a little complicated. So I think that's the problem that we're having. Not that we need to have separation, but we have no line. We have too many people crowd in one area, right? Everybody can drink out of this faucet. So before it was a little bit more in order, right? Because nobody could drink out of this faucet right here except for one kind of person. Right. Nobody can drink out of this faucet but one kind of person. So that puts you to know where your place was. Now, right, when we need to know where our place is, we don't know where our place is to even help ourselves because we're at one water faucet, right? And everybody wants to drink out of it, right? And only some people are benefiting from it. Others are not even benefiting from drinking out of that water faucet when they could have their own water faucet to drink out of instead of fighting over the same water. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So if we didn't have 12 different options, right? And if as a whole, right, we as Black people were together as we were, let's just say in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, right? When they told you, you cannot drink out of this water faucet, it made us all together, even though it was in the wrong
So we need
situation.
to take that same energy
So we need to take
all together
and come back together as one, right? But they've made us individual. They've told us not to work with family and friends, and they've also given us the education from their viewpoint, which takes us away from all our true strengths and our true powers and our knowledge that we have to solve problems because they've given us their problem-solving skills, which don't solve problems, only adds to the problem.
Exactly.
So we have to go back and realize that we are the master planners, right? That we are the problem solvers, that we are the rulers and the ones that set down law. Then once we understand that, right, and we're in our own box, then we can move forward. But as long as which is why we're having this problem, which is why it continues to happen, which is why we're surprised. And there's only been 3 police officers held accountable after many Black and brown people and also white people have died at the hands of police officers, right? This is what the problem is. People are not sticking together.
Right.
They're not moving as a force. Everybody is individual. So therefore, we can't get the outcome we need when we know there's something wrong. And who's playing to that? Those in power who understand that they can control, right, the masses of people because they're not engaged, they're not affected, they don't have the experience. So those are the ones who are not on the front line, who you can persuade your way because they have none of the information. They're not being affected by it. It's not affecting them in their lives. Those are the ones that you can persuade and make everybody else look like they're just crying wolf. And the ones that are actually crying out are not being heard because of the systemic way we've been taught, educated, and the way we deal with problems. And we need to reverse that. And I'm not saying that we need to be separate, right? But we need to know what lane we're in. And I'm just saying, even though at that time it was wrong and people were fighting to drink out of one water faucet, if we just take that understanding that certain groups and other groups didn't want to drink out of the other water faucet and certain groups wanted to drink out of a water faucet, maybe just because they were thirsty. But if we could all just recognize where we are, what we're doing, and how to move forward, we can take, let's just say lemon and make lemonade.
So y'all get that and understand that. And let me remind y'all that y'all can always hit us up on Facebook Live. All right. Now we're gonna jump to a quick music break, and we'll be right back. This is Elevated Vibes Radio on IntellectualRadio.com. What's good? It's your boy Abdul Rashid. We are back along with the gatekeeper and the boss man Mike D. Elevated Vibes, baby. Now we're gonna touch on a couple other things. We ain't left Mr. Chauvin now, so y'all come on in with your comments and so forth. But you know, there's a lot of other things going on, like the young 13-year-old.
Well, I shouldn't say Mr. His name is Adam Toledo.
Right.
Adam Toledo. He was 13.
The young lady, Makia Bryant. And they just had the funeral for Mr. Dante Wright.
Dante Wright.
Yes.
And then there was also yesterday, it hasn't made big news, but there was a shooting in Kentucky school involving a child. He was under the age of 18. Resource officer went to go talk to him and investigate domestic disturbance. There, of course, is video. They, of course, say that he had a gun. Mm-hmm. They, of course, say, you know, the officer fired his weapon in fear of his life. But, you know, that video has not been released. So we'll see what happens about that. But I'm upset that hasn't made more press. I read about it in the Daily Mail. But
Right.
yeah, so and then we got, like you said, Dante.
And I got another one for you, gentlemen, and everybody else out there. It's actually in USA Today. It was a National Guardsman by the name of Bruce Weber, because he was trying to go to the level of officer. So his superiors made him carry a heavy chain around for no, they didn't really say how much time, but they made him carry a heavy chain around. At first he was going to drag it, and they said, no, you have to wear this chain. We are going to bring you down. Now, if that don't fall under a systematic racism, please tell me.
And as we were coming on the air, it was reported on ABC World News tonight that during the serving of a search warrant, sheriff deputies, I believe in North Carolina, discharged his weapon into, I believe the victim's last name is Brown. I'm not sure if he was killed or not, but here again we have, let's just call it what it is, this orgy of black and brown bodies being murdered.
Right.
At the hands of officers, and I just don't, let me be careful how I say this. I don't know how much longer people can tolerate the killing of black and brown children at the hands of police officers. Like, how much longer, how much more patience are we supposed to demonstrate as a people? I'm not advocating revolution or whatever, but I simply ask the question, as I posed to you before the break. Since 1992, nothing has fundamentally changed. We've instituted new programs. We put videotapes or video cameras on these officers, and nothing has changed. And I want to ask this question: what was different between what happened to Derek Chauvin and what happened to Eric Garner? What fundamental? We saw both. Do y'all remember those old school photos, like from the 1930s and 1920s, when they would show the strange fruit, the black bodies hanging from the trees, and the people would be gathered around, and you can they would look into the camera and take these pictures,
right?
And there was these people gathered around. Nothing has changed. Only thing is that we are the people now. We are the witnesses to these homicides and to the hanging of these strange bodies and this strange fruit. It's not at the end of a rope anymore. It's at the end of a 9mm.
I think things haven't changed because not that many people are affected by it.
I agree.
There are many people who are affected by it, but in order for the change that we need to happen, right? There are people who are sitting in their homes and never going to have police come by, talk to them or say anything. So they're not affected by that. So when they go vote or when they hear something, they're not feeling the same type of way as a person who is engaged or involved in the community where this is happening.
So maybe it's up to us, like you said, nothing really has changed. It is up to us to make this change. If we got to go as drastic as saying, okay, we're all going to become sovereign citizens, then let's do it.
But that's the whole point. I still don't, and to Gatekeeper's point,
mm-hmm.
and what he's fundamentally what I think, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. As long as it's affecting the black and the brown, ain't nothing gonna turn around.
Basically.
I mean, let's just say, as long as it's affecting the black and the brown, ain't nothing turning us around.
But then yet we are the biggest money maker for these businesses who mainly are the ones who run this country.
Hold on, wait a minute. You just said something. We are the biggest money makers for what?
For these businesses who pretty much run this country.
Watch this. Hold on.
Go ahead.
What's another big business? The prison system.
Exactly.
Prison and
Where the most? What color are the people that are in prison?
Black and brown.
So they making money off of what they are not making policies off of.
Are you saying there's money in building prisons?
They are
in
the stock market. They are in the stock market.
So let me figure this out, right? If prison is a business and there's a lot of black and brown people in there, right? But then you make policies which would not fill up these prisons, then somebody's going to be missing money.
Right.
So
commercial contracts for prisons.
We have this power.
I don't know.
And just like,
I'm not,
whoa,
I'm not
just
trying to
like
be,
Gatekeeper said, if we stand together with this power, we stand together.
I'm not that optimistic. I'm sorry.
I'm not saying
We have the power. We don't have enough people pushing the power that they have for us to get the outcome that we need. There are people who know that things are fundamentally wrong, but they are okay. They are not affected by it. They know that it's wrong. They can be a powerful and strong voice, but they're paid and they're afraid to speak up.
That's true. They are. And then they're not realizing that, okay, it may not touch you right now. But down the line, whatever it is, it will touch you.
I'm not sure who said it. I know I read this quote, but it says, once you spark the flame, you can't control where the fire grows.
And that's what's happening right now.
That's
can't
true.
control where the fire grows. So it, like you said, it's affecting us. But don't think that just because you are a person of non-color, it won't affect you.
Exactly.
As easy as it is to put the knee on my neck, it's just as easy to put the knee on your neck.
But then they'll cry out for your help when it does. And then you'll forget about they were the ones who said that wasn't right in the first place. And that's how easy it is. They just come right in.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to be the dour note on this, but I think I don't think we can afford that hope anymore. And that's why I keep asking the question, how much longer? You know, everybody keeps saying that America's at a reflective point. America has been on a reflective point. What happened, to your point, I think, like you said, 1960s, 1970s, America caught a fever. All right. We used the 70s, 80s, and the 90s to kind of treat that fever. Mm-hmm. And then 2016-ish, we don't know what, y'all know what happened in 2016. It's like we caught the flu again. Uh-huh. And so we've seen this spark again. And to that point, we thought that because the fever had gone away, the fever was always there, the infection that we've always had. And y'all know what I'm talking about, racism, you know, classism. These two run parallel. They fight in the body at the same time. But it seems like in 2016, because, you know, the white blood cells, Barack Obama, you know, took over this country, you know, and for ill or for ill, that just seemed to spark this feverish response. You know what I'm saying? It was like the body got an infection. We thought it was all good.
Right.
We thought it was good. We thought this was the healing herb, you know, the healing vine.
What lets you know what America really is about, why we really can't have any change. And we also need to say it is about the people, right? Mm-hmm. But we vote, right? And then people get into office, right? So at that point in time, let's be honest, we're not making any decisions. They're making the decisions. So we really need to put the pressure on the politicians and the people in office. And let's be honest, we're not making any decisions. They're making the decisions. So we really need to put the pressure on the politicians and the people in office to say, if you see something wrong, speak up about it. If you see something that is not right, speak up about it, because you all are the ones that are hurting us. The politicians, the people in office who are being quiet, who have a seat at the table, but yet watch your community suffer. So we need to educate ourselves more about police policy. We need to, just so we can understand how to have the conversation about it. Because I'm telling you right now, if there's a person out there in the world and they have a butter knife in their hand and the police are called, the police have the option to shoot you, and they're going to get away with it. Even if you have a butter knife, right? They're going to shoot you, right? Because it's in their law to do that. Now, once we know that, now we can try to change the law. Mm-hmm. We can try to change the method or the teachings that they have. Mm-hmm. But if we don't understand what they can do, how they can do it, and how the rules are set up for them already, which is why there's only been 3 police officers, right? Right. Convicted like this, then we have to be broader in our mind frame and our understanding, and understanding that America has not changed. Just when we had a president in 2016, not we seen, not it showed, we felt the next day going to work, the next day waking up, that it was a change, fundamental, that it was a change in our heart, in the air, in the system, in the way people felt, right? Mm-hmm. So that right there is a burden on the black and brown man's heart. And then for then for 4 years more of this, and then for it to keep continuing to happen at which one of the highest levels, which is the police department, to continue killing young black and brown men, and then having an excuse why they do it and never holding themselves accountable, is the problem that we're having. And at the end of the day, people are crying out. And we talk about this, and this happens a lot, but there's nothing else to talk about. We have too many ways to solve problems, and we keep talking about a problem that can be solved with the snap of a finger. Change the policies, change the training. Let the people know that as a police officer, if you oppose a threat to them, they can kill you without any saying. Let people understand that. Stop telling people that they go out here and they're saving the day. Stop telling people that every day when they go out here, their lives are in danger. I'm not saying that it's never in danger. But every time you go to a situation, the police officer's life is not in danger.
Right. And let me speak to that point, because it's one of the points I wanted to bring up. We talk about the policies and the trainings, right? I think the three of us can fundamentally agree that the problem with Derek Chauvin and some of these officers is not a training problem. It's not. If you have been on that knee, if I had been on that knee, I pray to my God that he would bestow upon me a merciful heart and say, "No, this ain't right." All right. What I'm suggesting to you, and I use this as an example, is who are we getting to be the police? And I suggest this to you. David Goggins, I don't know if you know him, is one of those, he's considered one of the hardest men on earth. He went to Buzz training. He was overweight. Man tried to get into the Navy SEALs 3 times. He took it on the 4th time. All right. 4th time. So that lets you know how bad this dude is. 3 times to go through Buzz training. So, but he says, when I was in Buzz training, captains of the football team were dropping out. Guys who were, captains of their swim teams, of the water polo teams. Dudes who, could run 26 miles, take a break and run another 26 miles. They were dropping out. He was like, because it's not about the physicality. It's about the mindset. How is it that we have all of these federal officers, all of these FBI, ATF, DEA, all of these, and they don't seem to shoot nobody? America has one of the most militarized police systems. If you think about the level of police intervention, but you think about who's above the police, FBI, ATF, DEA, IRS, post office got their own police force. Right. Attorney General got their own police force. State troopers. Let's just go with next level. State troopers seem to interact with the public
a lot better,
and don't seem to be engaged in the shootings. Sheriffs.
Right.
Serving eviction warrants, serving warrants, doing the judicial duty of the court. What I'm suggesting to you is that I'll even go a little bit further. I'm sorry. Teachers seem to be able to interact with black and brown bodies. And I've worked in the schools. And some of these kids need they bus whip. I mean, I'm not saying anything that's not true, but yet they seem to be able to interact without having, we don't hear about a rash of teachers whipping children's butts.
As I hear you explaining and saying things, right? It's easy, just this easy, right? When you solve a problem at the root cause.
Right.
So where did the police start from?
Slave catchers.
Oh, then there's a reason why it's a problem.
There it is.
So this is that simple. You see how simple it is? If the police started from slave catchers, right? Then there's no reason why there's a problem now. There's nothing that has changed. So now we solve the problem.
Here's another thing.
You see how easy that was, though?
Here's another
thing. But who's gonna do something to make that change?
Right. That's the problem.
Here's another thing.
It's the recruitment.
Exactly.
It's who are we attracting the police that says, hey, your job is to control and patrol, not serve. You control and patrol. You serve and protect the other. And what I'm suggesting is a fundamental change. Because you can't control. There is no police and policy.
Here's another thing with that.
Sit on someone's neck.
Here's another thing. Touch the money. All right. It's so many things that fund police departments and so forth. You touch the money. I'm gonna give you a.
Whoa! Are you talking about defund the police?
Whoa!
What?
Check it out.
What?
Check it out.
Dude,
Check it out. I'm gonna give you an example. There was a certain television show out there which I will not mention. It had a very short run. It looked like it was going to be something good. And Home Depot. Hold on. Home Depot was advertising with them and so forth. The people did not like that show because what it was about. They stopped shopping at Home Depot.
I agree.
Listen, I'm gonna just tell you something, right? Anything that deals in confusion is from we know who. Anything that deals in simplicity is from we know who.
Right.
So at the end of the day, right? We'll just go with the simplicity, right?
Right.
And making it simple means that we know darn well somebody's doing something they're not supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
Solving problems are that easy. We just go to the root cause.
Exactly. Now, real quick, because we're running low on time, gentlemen, real fast, your thoughts on the Georgia voting law?
Georgia voting law, man, I think down there in the South, the numbers are against the black and brown people, and you got people out there making laws and politicians doing things that are not right, and it's affecting a lot of people. And even though people go out there and vote, their vote doesn't make things happen that are right.
That's true.
Again, I hate to be the dour one, but are we shocked?
No.
Are we shocked? I mean,
we're not shocked. All right.
They,
because they were the flashpoint of some of the change that was needed. And those that hold the strings didn't like that.
Look, here's the situation.
But what I'm saying is this, all right? They didn't like it. So this is what was their response.
But this is what they've always done.
Exactly.
This is
now
what the game hasn't changed, Rich. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, look,
what I pose to you and the people. What is our response? Because if somebody respond to you in a certain way, you have to respond back.
So the proper response is what has happened. There have been certain moves made by corporations, and that's a whole nother theory about, I don't know how comfortable I am with corporations being the intellectual consciousness of America. That's the fact that we have to rely on corporations to force politicians to do the right thing is scary in of itself. Do
you know how they catch criminals? Big criminals? They follow the money. Do you know how they don't catch politicians and people doing this? They don't follow their
the money.
No.
It's simple,
exactly.
Right? We have the remedies to solve every one of these problems. We just solved 2 of them right now. Follow the money, right? And also, if police comes from slave catchers, then it's no wonder why we still have the same problem today with the same type of people.
Right.
Those are 2. We solved 2 problems right there. Next. See how easy that was? And we've been dealing with these problems for hundreds of years, which means the people in power don't want to change it. And even if they say they're trying to, it's just a way to sweep it under the rug, and it leaves a bigger lump. Nobody's really pushing for change.
Right.
Who has the 2? We can speak, we can vote, we can do all we want to do. You can vote for who you want to vote for. I can vote for who I want to vote for. I voted for somebody just recently, they lost. So now what? Now what?
We keep it going.
But the things that happen, I'm not going to be in agreement with. So I voted, but there's nothing going to change. So
right.
I have to learn how to speak and do things on my own. But what is that changing at the forefront where things need to be done? Nothing. So I'm going out to vote. I'm getting involved in politics. I'm getting involved in my community and making things happen. And then the devil still prevails.
I mean, like I said, I hate to be the Debbie Downer on this show. And you talk about Georgia. I look up to Florida. Florida just passed a law now that if you are a protester and you're blocking the streets, if someone hits you, they're not liable. So, like I said, we're at this inflection point. There is a mean but racist spirit that has come over America.
But that's what it takes for now the people of Florida. Hey, you got to step up.
But to Gatekeeper's point, ain't enough of us being
It ain't enough for us stepping up.
go
And
back
that's
to
what
my
I'm
saying.
saying.
As long as it affects the black and the brown, it won't
But-
turn around.
But everybody in the world everybody has shown right now that the world has stepped up, right?
Right.
Has stepped up, has spoken up, and has uprising. And they used to say, "Oh, you're so woke," but yeah, everybody woke now, right?
Right.
So, in the time where we've done the most that we've done, that we've had our eyes open the most.
But that's how far we are behind the 8 ball. If you that far behind the 8 ball, yeah, we only moved a couple of inches. That's about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
If we got to get past this 8 ball to do that, we're gonna have to keep it up. That's what I mean by keeping your foot on the gas. You know, whatever reason we released our foot from the gas.
Well, because we were told
compliance.
We were told that this was getting better, that we thought that the infection had receded.
Right.
You know, we looked at the progress that were made by black and brown people in the 80s and 90s.
And we also went to individuality. So we're not worried about you or you or you.
Right.
We're worried about myself, my family.
The collective consciousness.
Right.
Not my cousin, not my grandmother, not my mother, not my brother.
But
so that separates us. And that's why we're that's why as a whole, people are into tunnel vision.
Right. And now that we see this, now that we are woke, we all have to let go of the individuality to a certain point. You got to be who you are.
Most people just see that it's a problem, but they don't want to engage themselves, and they don't want to put themselves. They look at it going backwards. They don't want to engage in the fight because if they see the fight, they see something's wrong, but they don't want to get into it because it's not their fight.
Right. And that's the problem because, see, regardless, this fight is going to come back and touch you.
They don't think so.
Yeah, I know.
And there's a saying. They said, you know, I think they said he came for the Jews first, and I didn't say anything because it didn't bother me. He came for the gays second, and I didn't do anything because it didn't bother me. You know, he came for the people of color, and I didn't do anything because it didn't bother me. He came for my neighbor, and I didn't do anything because it didn't bother me. And then he came for me. You know, this is just history repeating itself. You know,
and you know what? Now that you say that, it's the mayor in Aurora said that some things like this that has happened would never happen in Aurora. And now that you say that, it made me think, man, Aurora would probably be the next place something like this will happen because you have a person in power who is speaking out and saying that these things never happen and try to sugarcoat things when the truth is he knows it's about going to happen next in Aurora.
It won't be video recorded, though. We know why, though.
But we just got to remember this one thing, and that's togetherness.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. All right. No matter your differences, it's togetherness. I mean, and I'm going to close with this, y'all, because we have ran out of time. Look at us. We are from different sides. All right. You born in Aurora. You in Chicago, myself, Harvey. Okay. We are sitting at this table together. So we are sitting strong. You know, and that's the thing. As people, we have to sit or stand strong. Excuse me. That's how we're going to get things done. We got to keep our foot on the gas. This is Elevated Vibes Radio, and this is the end for tonight. But we will be back next week, y'all. So
7:00. Tune in.
Yes.
Elevating hearts and minds, one show at a time.
Much love to y'all. Peace.